friends, today we will be looking at a very important topic in civil engineering project management, which is about tendering and contract. And I'm sure you are familiar with these two terminologies. And these are the various contents to be covered in under this tenders, then pre-qualification and its procedures, EMD, earnest money deposits, and different types of contracts, then contract documents, various documents forming part of contract, and then general and important conditions, general and particular conditions of contract, then measurement and measurement book. Now the tender, this term you might have heard being used in different contexts. Now we'll see the various dictionary meaning of this term. It is used as noun, as a formal offer which is giving money or service at a specified cost or rate. So that offer given by one party to the other party for some money or service at a specified considerations for a specific specified price is known as a tender. Okay. Now, to offer something formally, it is used as verb also, like to offer formally. Say for example, the conductor asked us to tender some changes, so we are tendering changes, so that is called as a tender. Or in bank, if you go to bank or any other places, they will ask you, they'll be you'll find a notice saying that please tender changes, so that tender is the verb. Okay. Now there is another meaning, which is the adjective, easily crushed or fragile or young and vulnerable. Tender coconut is an example of that. So tender has got different meanings. So the meaning we intend here is the first meaning, that of formal offer giving money or service at a specified cost or rate. So it is used as a noun in this case. And the tender is a process in which the project proposer invites intending party to submit his or her price or offer for fulfillment of proposer's requirement through the instrument called tenderer. So now the question is, who is tendering and who is tenderer? Whether client is a tenderer or the contractor is tenderer. Who is tendering? Yeah, it is the contractor or the vendor who is tendering their offer, right? So they are agreeing that, or they are giving an offer to the client that they'll do a piece of work or service, okay, at a specific amount, specified amount. So this is the offer they put forward, and the client on evaluation will make a decision whether to go with this offer, take up this offer, or approve this offer. And once they are willing to accept this offer, that's called acceptance, offer acceptance. Once they accept it, then they get into some legal agreement. Mutually they will sign up, and then that becomes a contract. So that offer or a tender becomes a legal document or legal agreement, that is called as a contract. Now this offer which provides proposer with his most competitive price for the project. So always it is about offering certain job for the best price. Okay, best price means when see here there are two parties. One is a party who is offering, and the other party is accepting. So when it has to be so it should be mutually acceptable by both the parties. Okay, if this has to happen, then it should be mutually agreeable. So there is a conflict of interest for both the parties. In the sense, one on the offerer, the contractor or the vendor, they'll be looking for some profit from this project, right? From this from this project, and their idea is to give the service or to perform the activity such that their expenditure is less and they get more profit. Whereas on the other side, client will be looking for minimizing their expenses, and at the same time to get most out of it, or the best out of it, right? So there is a sort of conflicting in interest, but still they have to strike, they have to come to a common point where both the parties can accept it. So when accepted by both offerer and proposer, the tender becomes a contract, as we said. Now we need to give you we can start straight away with the tendering and contract. We just need to have a look at the overall project, okay, just to get an idea about it. Anyway, I'll be discussing about this in detail in a separate lecture, which I think which will be comprehensive enough to help you understand the whole process involved in the project procurement. But now just I brought this a few of the slides from that and the general discussions here, just to give you an idea. Like project type, sometimes our project will be need-based project. Need-based project means, say for example, we need a public infrastructure projects. There is a requirement for a road or a bridge or something like that. So that is actually for the public. That is public infrastructure, schools. And sometimes government infrastructure project means now suppose our government requires some some building, say some office building or some engineering, some laboratory or whatever they need to set up. So that kind of projects are called as a government infrastructure project. And there are some corporate need project, even the private, if not government or public, then some private parties, they may require some some projects. So such projects are need-based projects. There is a need for doing that. Now, business-focused project means it is completely on the development, or it's mainly for developing any business, and that will be on some industrial projects, or sometimes it will be for a new product or new product, right? Some startup business or something like that. Or okay, now new ventures. And then re-engineering projects means there is an project already in existence, but suppose we want to revamp, we want to make some modifications, and then we want to diversify the project. Such cases also we need to have some projects, construction projects, then information system projects and all. So generally there is a different sources and reasons for the projects. One is based on some specific identified needs, either for the private party or for the government or for the public, or sometimes it will be business focused projects. And there is no such a identified need, but it is for the organization's interest to develop and maximize them, and for their business intention. So such are the classifications of this. Now, typical sequence of development phases in a construction projects are phases and milestone. If you look at this, one is the concept analysis phase, and second one is plan and development phase, then execution phase and commissioning phase. So it is the concept analysis phase, and once we are through that concept analysis, we'll come to we'll decide upon the specifics of the project, and then we'll still develop some plan and conceptualization about that specific projects, and then moving on to the execution stage, okay, where we physically execute and realize that project. And then once the execution is completed, and then it has to be handed over to the client, right? So that is called as commissioning, and it is operational. And now this is a phase 1 where construction concept analysis phase. I am not going through in detail. I am just I just want you to go through this, read this table, and try to get familiarized with each of these terminologies. Okay, anyway, we'll be having a separate discussion on this. And here, concept analysis, one is to identify the need analysis. Okay, what is whether this project is required or not. That is actually the first question. Or you can say this is where we do the business case preparation. See, we suppose for example, we need to set up a shopping complex or a that kind of cinema theater or whatever in area. So we need to first of all identify whether this will be a successful project or not, right? So that such aspects have to be studied thoroughly before we start developing other designs, structural and architectural design of the project. So that is the first phase, where we identify the need analysis. Need is identified. Then feasibility study. Okay, there is a need, but whether this will be feasible or not, that is another question. Then other one is, if it is feasible, then we need to look at the project investment analysis and appraisal. How are we going to find the capital or the required funding for this? And then project implementation strategy. How are we going to execute this? If all this, so these are various stage-wise activities, which once everything is shows a green signal, then we say that okay, our concept analysis and that study is completed, and then there is an outcome based on the study, and that will help us to move to the next phase, called as a plan and development phase, where these are the various activities involved, like design and drawing planning, drawings planning, then we are planning that. Okay, then time planning or scheduling, resource planning, what are the various resources required for a project, that will plan. Then cost planning, budgeting, everything A to Z we will be planning. So here you can see the construction contract procurement, the 8th point, construction contract procurement planning. So how are we going to procure it, or we going to contract it, and to identify a competent contractor, and then give it out to them, okay, so that they can execute and give back the facility, constructed facility. Okay, so therefore these are the various activities in the second phase. So now we are this tendering and contracting actually comes mainly comes in the second phase. Okay, now project construction phase, this is the actual execution phase, okay, where we need to when we start the project site organization, then resource mobilization. Resource mobilization means equipment, everything is mobilized to site, and then we start the digging operation activity and so on. Then contract, we already have a contract. Now this is a contract phase. The other one is pre-contract phase. Okay, now and then once it is on, the project is going on, then we need to have various controls, like scope change control, resource control, schedule control. It has to be controlled. That's the third phase. And fourth phase is the construction project closing, where we have to close out all the maintenance activities, then administrative activities, and contract close out. Contract itself has to be closed out, and then a lesson learned report. And finally, for any project, after the completions, the project team has to make a specific identify the various lessons learned from that project, and that is a final closing activity in that. Again, coming back to the slide we have seen earlier. Now, before we see, then that the tender is changing into contract. So what is contract, we need to know, because we are more interested in tendering is a process, okay, by which we identify a competent contractor, and then we sign into an agreement. So our intention is actually to identify a competent person who can perform the duties, and with whom we can come to a legal terms. Now we need to know what is contract. Contract is an agreement between parties, where the agreement is enforceable legally. So this agreement is enforceable legally. So all agreements are not enforceable legally. Okay, that's one important point. I'll tell you. See, some agreement that I'll explain in the next point. Okay, the purpose of contract. What is the need for a contract? The need for a contract, I'll tell you. Now your friend is asking to lend a book for one day. Excuse me. Suppose your friend is asking for your textbook, okay, to lend your notebook for a day. he or she wants to complete something. So won't you give it? Will you ask for any sort of agreement in written agreement, stating that you have to return me this notebook by next day at a specific time and all? If not, I'll be charging you something and all. No, we don't do that, right? I don't know if anybody does like that, but we don't do this because we have a trust on that person. We know that person and we have a trust. Similarly, we have friendships. We have classmates and other people, and with on day-to-day basis, we make some agreement with each of these people, and then we perform it. Okay, sometimes we fail, sometimes we win, but if we fail, then that will that will question, and that will slightly affect the trust between these two parties. Fine. Now, contract means, in contract, especially for construction and all, we'll be dealing with the unknown people and organization, right? We don't know about their intentions and whether they are trustworthy or not. So in such cases, we need to have some clear understanding between these two parties, and so it is to enhance trust between these two parties. So both the parties who are part of this work, either client or the contractor, both the parties will be having their own concerns. If what is their intention, what are their deliverables, specific deliverables, what is the expectations, and how are they supposed to perform, all that is to be clearly made clear, so that there won't be any kind of conflict at a later stage. So that is a basic intention of it, so that both are safe and they can perform their duties well. And now, basic elements of a contract are there are certain essential elements required for anything to be a contract. That is, there should be an offer, and there should be an acceptance, and there should be consideration, then competent party, and then legality of purpose. Offer means there should be a party who is ready to offer something, a piece of service or job, or whatever, material or whatever. Here the contractor is that party, and they are offering to perform, to do the project or a service at a specified price. So that is actually the offer. And then acceptance means if that offer is competitive, or if that offer is acceptable, or as per the interest of the client, then client will accept it. So that is actually the acceptance of the job. So there is a meeting of mind. Once this offer and acceptance happen, which means there is a meeting of mind of two parties, and then in return they have to provide them some amount they should be agreeing upon. So this agreement will be for certain, they have to see, when a contractor is offering something, they will be expecting certain amount as compensation, right? So if client is ready to pay that compensation, then that becomes a contract, and then that amount of compensation is called as a consideration. Now the competent party means he or she should be, first of all, they should be a grown up adult and responsible person, right? A 10-year-old boy or a girl cannot come and sign up and say that it's a contract. Legally there won't be any validity if they are less than 18 years old. That is one thing. And another is, they should not be minor, okay? And another is they should be mentally also they should be capable enough to come into an agreement, to get into a contract, because mentally challenged person cannot get into a contract. That won't be valid, because they're not competent enough to do that contract. Okay, so it is about the capability of that person. That is also important, otherwise it will become void. Okay, and then legality of purpose means we cannot see, some people, they make agreement for any destructive or for any terrorist any such activity, right? See, some people, they want to do some destructive kind of work, for which they'll be having some agreement between other individuals or organizations or whatever. So such things will not be considered as contract. It is only an agreement. There is no legal validity for that. Legal validity comes only when the purpose is also for the welfare or benefit of in some private organizations or individuals, or for the government or common public. Okay. Now, every agreement need not be a contract. So this is what I said in the beginning. We can have if a contract is basically an agreement with some legal validity, but at the same time, an agreement need not be a contract all the time. So you can have agreement with a minor can have an agreement with another person, or a minor, or whatever. Okay, but this is different. Now, okay, now we will look at the details of these tenders in the next video.